If you love what you are seeing, don't blink because I'm about to show you how I made this flawless mini frontal step by step. And before I start, I must let you know that this is a beginner friendly tutorial. In this video, I'll be showing you how to construct a 7x5 lace closure, which can also serve as a mini frontal. Okay, so one thing you must understand is that when you want to construct a 7x5 lace closure, you may not be able to get that lace size in the market, so you might have to go and construct it using your own lace. Okay, you might have to construct it using your lace, but you may be able to get it, but a lot of times you don't get to find 7x5 measurement. So this, in this kind of situation, is going to be customized for this client, right? So one thing we must understand is when you hear 7x5, the first number is usually the width, 7x5. This 7 now is the width and the 5 is the length. So always have that at the back of your mind. So when you want to the first thing you want to do now is to draw your blueprint. The significance of your blueprint is that it helps to make your whole work easier. It guides you as you're ventilating, and it also helps you as a beginner to follow. It gives you a structure basically as a beginner that will guide you as you are ventilating. Okay, so we have our 7x5, right? The first thing is to draw a rectangle. So from this point now, we're going to draw our 7. This is 7. So this point is 7. Then five inches. Now, after drawing your rectangle like this is our 5 inches. You have your 5 inches. These are 7 inches. Now, as of your 5 inches, which is the length, you are going to have your hairline. So what we usually do is to remove 1 inch at the front, which is serve as the hairline, because the way you ventilate your hairline is going to be different from the way you ventilate the body of your lace closure. So I'm going to measure 1 inch now from the top and mark it out. From here to here, we have our 1 inch. These are 1 inch. Now, when you're marking out your hairline, you can mark out half an inch. You can divide this 1 inch, you can divide it into 2. It is optional, because for some people, the way they ventilate the half of the hairline is going to be different from the way they ventilate the tip. But for this video, I'm just going to be marking out 1 line, okay? Now, when you're done drafting out your hairline, what you must understand is your closure is not going to be in a rectangular shape, right? So you are going to carve out a curve. You can use anything that has a curve to do this part, and you can also use your hand, okay? But I'll be using my hand. Now, this is the shape of my lace closure. This is the shape it's going to give me, okay? So this is my hairline. For your hairline now, you are going to divide. You can either leave your hairline to be in a straight line like this, or if you want to have like a curve, if you want to have like a shape, if you want to add a shape to your hairline, you have to do it too on your blueprint, okay? So the first thing we want to do now is to know that the measurement of this point to this point is 7 inches, right? So we're going to divide it into 2. So if you divide 7 inches, which is the width, if you divide it by 2, you're going to have 3.5, right? So you're going to measure 3.5 here. You're going to, which is to divide this width into 2. We're dividing this width into 2. That's how we have our 3.5. So this is your 3.5. Now you divide, after dividing your 7 inches into 2, which is 3.5. This place is 3.5 now. From here to here too, we have our 3.5 inches. Okay, now you are going to divide this 3.5 into 2 again. You are going to divide this half. You know, this is our half. This is the point where we divided our 7 inches into 2, which gave us 3.5 here, 3.5 here. So we're going to divide this 3.5 by 2, which is going to give us 1.75. Now this is how you mark out your 1.75. You're going to place your ruler on it. You get this one 1.5, this is 1.6, this is 1.7. So this is my 1.75. This is 1.75. So from here to here now to this midpoint too will be 1.75. This is 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.75. You see, this is also 1.75. So these are our midpoint. We're going to divide this 3 into this 3.5. I'm going to divide this into 2 as well. Whatever you do on this side, you have to replicate it on this other side. So from here to here, if you divide your 3.5 into 2, you're going to have 1.75. So 1.5, this is 1.6, this is 1.7, this is 1.75. So after dividing it, you've marked out your points. These are the points. This is the midpoint. This is the half of the 3.5. This half of 3.5, half of 3.5. This is half of the 7 inches. Okay, so what you're going to do now, you're just going to carve out a shape that you want for yourself. So this is up to you. Whatever shape you want your hairline to give, that is what you're going to carve out here. Okay, but before you do that, always know that this point here and this point is going to be like the widest. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. Now this is the shape you want to achieve, is totally up to you. It doesn't have to be what I am doing here, but this is the shape I want to give this particular closure. Okay, but if you don't want to give your hairline any curve or any structure, you can just leave this straight line the way it is. If you don't want to go through this stress of having to draw hairline, just leave this point like this. You don't have to create any hairline. Okay, so let's go into the measurement of the lace. This is our blueprint. This is what we'll be working with to ventilate, but we need to construct our lace as well. Before you start cutting your lace, ensure that the point that is facing, that you are using to construct the length, is the point where the holes are arranged on a straight line. Okay, look at this. You can see the holes are arranged on a straight line. I don't know if you can see. See, the holes are arranged on a straight line. So the point where the holes are arranged on a straight line is the place where you are going to use to construct your length, not the other way around. So it has to be this place where the holes are arranged on a straight line that you are going to cut your length from. Now we know we are constructing a 7x5 lace closure. What we're going to do is to add 2 inches to it. The reason why we're adding 2 inches is so that we can have our extra lace at the front and our sewing allowance on the sides as well. So we know that we are constructing a 7x5, right? But I'm going to be measuring 9x7. We want a 7x5, so you add 2 inches to 7, that will be 9. You add 2 inches to 5, that will be 7. So from here to here now, this is my starting point. I'm going to measure 9 for the width, and I'm going to measure 7 for the length. This is 7. You can use whatever you have to mark it, but just make sure you are not decorating or writing too much on the lace you want to work with. So this is 7, this is 0.7. So you need to do the same thing here. You need to measure 7 inches here as well. So this is what I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut out this point that I have marked. Look at the point on camera. Look at the point I marked. You can see this is 0.1, this is 1 to 9, and from here to here is 1 to 7. So I'm just going to cut it out. Now this is the lace I'll be working with. What I have here now is a 9 by 7. Okay, so what you're just going to do is you're going to place this on your blueprint and you ventilate. Now when you look at this, you can see that we have extra lace. You know, the ventilation we're going to do now is going to be within this region from here to this point. So this is going to be our extra lace at the front, and this is just going to be our sewing allowance. We want to sew this closure after we're done ventilating and you want to use it to construct the wig. You're just going to use this point as your sewing allowance, right? It's just a point where this is the point where you sew it to the wig cap. So this is the extra lace that is usually at the front of your lace closure. So what you're going to do now is just to place this on your lace, on your canvas block head, and pin it down. Then you ventilate. This is how far I have gone with the work, and if you look at it closely, you can see that I'm ventilating diagonally. See, I'm ventilating like this. So basically what you're going to be doing is to join, you're going to be ventilating to join one line to the other. Okay, so I'm going to keep ventilating like this on a straight line, like this, till I get to this point. You see the line? I will stop here. I'll ventilate like that down till I get to this point as well. So basically what you're going to be doing is to be connecting the lines with your ventilation work. Okay, and when you get here, this is the line you're going to stop. You are going to be ventilating like this down. It's like I'm going to keep going till I get like this, down like this. Remember, we're not ventilating with the inside this place. This is the curve. This curve is our starting point. Okay, so I'm just going to keep ventilating like that till I get to this point. Then I'll come, when I'm done with this space, I will come and construct my hairline. Okay, you are leaving one line. This is the line I just finished ventilating on. So this line beside it, I won't be ventilating on this next line. I will go to the line after the one beside it. This is the one beside it. I'll go to this one, and I'm using the double split knot method while I'm picking just 2 to 3 strands of hair. These hair strands I'm working with is very thick, so I can't do the single knotting with this because the knots will not be properly tied. So when you're working with a particular hair type that is very thick, ensure that you are using a double split knot method or a double knotting method so that you can secure your knots properly. So you ventilate on one hole, you skip the next hole, you ventilate on the next, you skip the next hole. So you are ventilating on one hole, you leave one hole, you ventilate on one hole, you leave one hole on the line you have chosen. Okay, I'll skip this hole beside it and go to the next. If you want to do your double split knot method like I am doing here, after knotting, make sure you pull this last one slightly. It helps your knots to be properly secured. Pulling it slightly will make the knot to be properly tied. So after you knot your first half, you knot the other half, you pull it slightly like this. You go back again, you do the same thing. Knot one half, knot the other half, then you pull it slightly. And don't forget that I'm not ventilating on every hole. I'm skipping one hole after I ventilate on one hole. Okay, I'm just going to let you keep on watching what I am doing on the camera. If you are new to hair ventilation or you don't know how to use the ventilation pin, I have a video on how to do that. I'm going to link it in the description below. So make sure you go ahead and watch it if you are struggling with your ventilation pin. If you look closely, you will see that I'm stopping everything on the same line. You can see I'm stopping everything on a straight line. The ventilation is stopping on a particular line. Okay, you see, which is the line, which is this line. You can see this line here. This is the stopping point. But also notice that the ventilation too, everything is on a straight line as well. See, this is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so you're just basically joining this line to this line. When you're done, when you get to this point now, I will be joining them to this line like this till I get to the end. Now I've ventilated to this point. You can see I've stopped here. This is another angle. I'm not going to keep ventilating into this space like this. I'm going to keep ventilating like this from here. Now I'll keep going down because this is the hairline. There's a way I'm going to ventilate this place. So I'm just going to ventilate like this now, down. Don't forget you are ventilating on one hole and you skip the next hole. When you pick a line, you ventilate on one hole, you skip the one beside it, you ventilate on the next and you skip the next. That's what we are doing. Okay, I'm doing two lines together. When you're done with that line, you go to another line, which is not going to be the one that is immediately after the line you just finished. You're going to skip one line and go to the next. I'm ventilating on these two lines now. I'm going diagonally. You can see there's a line between this one and this one. This is how far I have gone with this part. You can see I've not ventilated on the hairline at all. So this is how far I have gone. I've just been connecting the lines. Basically, that's what you'll be doing. You'll be connecting this line to this other line. Okay, you're going to keep connecting the line within this part that we have created. So I'm just going to keep connecting it like this till I get to this point. Till I get to this point. One thing about hair ventilation is that it requires patience, because it's always like it's not going to finish. The more you keep doing it, it's just like, when am I going to get to the end of this, right? So just make sure that you do it when you have the time, and just make sure you're patient during the process. One day you will finish it. Anything that has a beginning surely has an end, right? So just keep ventilating it. Every knot you make brings you closer to the end of your ventilation. So just keep going till you get to the end of it. And when you're tired or you feel like you need to stretch, just stretch and come back. And I'm just picking 2 to 3 strands because these hair strands are actually thick, so I can't pick more than 3 strands. Being consistent with your knots is also important, so that you don't have some knots that are big while some are small. So I'm just picking 2 to 3 knots, 3 strands rather, because I don't want my knots to be too big. This is how far I have gone with the ventilation. You can see I'm done with the body, it's just remaining the hairline. At this point now, when you want to ventilate your hairline, you are going to pick a diagonal line, just the way we've been doing from the back. What you are going to do now is to make sure that you are picking just one strand of hair, because for you to have a natural hairline, you need it to be scanty. Okay, so you're just going to pick one strand of hair, and you can decide to do the 2 holes spacing depending on the volume or how full you want the hairline to be, but do not compromise the standard. You're just going to pick one strand of hair when you get to the hairline, but on the line you are ventilating, you can decide to do 2 hole spacing. I mean, when you ventilate on one hole, you leave 2 holes. You ventilate on one hole, you leave 2 holes. But that is totally up to you. But if you don't want that, you can just ventilate on one hole and skip the next hole, just the way we've been doing from the back. But you must make sure that you are picking just one strand of hair. Okay, that's just the rule. When you get to the hairline, you are picking just one strand of hair. But the fullness you want depends on you, whether you do double hole spacing at the hairline, or you just do your normal 1 hole spacing. Okay, now when you are ventilating this hairline, don't forget, you are not ventilating in this rectangle here. I'm just going to be following this hole, this shape right here, this curve that I have created. I'm going to follow it as I am ventilating, which is very important. But if you don't want any curved hairline, you just want it to be straight and plain, then you don't want that effect of this curved hairline, then you can decide to just follow the straight line to the end. But make sure you're picking just one hair strand when you get to your hairline, which is the most important thing. Picking one hair strand can be a bit more difficult than when you're picking 2 to 3 hair strands, because you have to be very careful you're not picking more than one strand, right? And at the same time, as you are knotting, you have to be careful so that the hair strand doesn't break as you are knotting it. But if you are finding it difficult to pick one strand, just make sure you don't exceed 2 strands of hair at the hairline. The reason why we always say you should pick one hair strand is that there are some hair strands that are actually thick, that if you pick 2 strands for that kind of hair type, it's not going to give you that natural look by the time you are done with your hairline. So that's why we just always recommend that you stick to one hair strand when you get to the hairline, because the hair you are working with, if you pick 2 strands, it might be too thick when you get to the front. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing now. Here I am using the normal spacing. You pick one hole, you skip the next hole, you pick one hole, you skip the next hole. And after I'm done with that line, I'll leave one line, I'll pick one hole, skip the next hole, ventilate on one hole, skip the next hole. But the double hole spacing, you can go for it if that is what you want. If you don't want to waste too much time at the hairline and you want a scanty look at the front, just do double hole spacing. Okay, so just watch what I am doing on camera and just learn the process. When you're ventilating your hairline and you notice that your hair strand is breaking, maybe because it's very thin or it's very fragile, you can pick 2 strands at that point. Okay, but if you know that your hair strand is thick, just stick to one strand so that you can have a more natural look. Another reason why we don't like to ventilate too many extras at the front is it makes the frontal or the closure, it makes it easier to pluck in case the owner of the lace frontal wants to pluck it, because the strands are not thick, so easily you can pluck it. Thereby you're not putting too much pressure on the lace, so you're not ripping your lace at the end of the day. I am done ventilating the hairline, and so far this is what I have done. And actually I'm done with this ventilation. Now you can see how natural the hairline looks. You can see how scanty it is. It's not very scanty, but it's giving a natural effect. Don't worry, I'll take away the paper and show you what it looks like without the paper underneath. And if you look closely, you can see I followed this curve right here. So if you don't want this kind of effects, a curved effect, if you just want a straight ventilated hairline, just don't bother creating a curve. You don't have to go into that measurement and all of those things. So this is what we have now. This is the final result. So let me know what you think about it. Will you be giving this a try? And if you have any question regarding this ventilation process, let me know in the comment section. This is what it looks like without the paper underneath, and trust me when I say you have no idea how excited I was when I finished this work. The relief you get when you finish a ventilation job, trust me, it cannot be explained. So this is what it looks like on the inside as well. I also made a Kimke closure for this particular client, and if you want to watch a video of how I did that, it will be in the description box. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.